but you guys just got back from your continuation of last year's expedition, and we wanted to have you back. And we're almost a year to the day now, I think, from when we first met at the feast last year.
Yep.
And you guys went and completed the journey that you shot for last year. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
So what was that like? What was different, and then what was the same, I guess?
Well, as far as being different, we took a little less gear this time and kind of lightened our packing load. And, we wasn't as anxious leading up to the trip. You know, we both talked about that.
Definitely wouldn't be as nervous.
Yeah. Let's get it. Let's do it. We took some company, took a couple friends with us this year, so that made it nice to have a couple extra faces around.
We definitely had better weather this year. That was the biggest thing, I think, for us anyways. It was hot last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was miserable being 90-something degrees out on the water, This year it was, 46 at night, 43.
Yeah.
Mid-70s. Endurance was definitely higher, I think, this year.
Yeah.
Year, as far as just not feeling worn out. Water usage.
Yeah.
What did we go through? About 5 gallons of water this year?
Maybe
4 days.
5 gallons.
That's cooking
Yeah.
and everything.
That's the whole bit.
In the morning. Last year we was going through 2 gallons a day, or seemed like it.
Yeah, at least.
That was a big change.
So you say you packed lighter. Was it just less gear? Was it? I mean, you still had to pack food, but did you
we
change?
took less gear. The stuff that we figured out last year that we didn't need for the type of trip we were doing, and we took less food this time too.
Yeah. Well, we was planning on slowing things down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last year we hit it pretty hard as far as paddling and not pulling in early, to set up camp. And,
Yeah.
We was hitting it pretty hard last year, trying to. And so this year we thought we'd just slow things down a little bit, enjoy it.
And who went on you with it this time? Last year it was just the two of you, primarily, wasn't it?
Yeah, just the two of us last year. And this year, Heath Syers from Kentucky went with us, and Tim Hoffmann from New Harmony.
Yeah, he's from New Harmony,
Indiana.
Yep.
And
he's the same guy that hooked up with us last year and took a little bit of footage with us, so it was pretty cool to have him back and finish it with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Him and his wife was a big support. Most definitely gone.
And it looked like on Facebook that you guys had kind of an entourage following you a little bit. So were there people up on the banks a little bit, just kind of keeping an eye on different steps of the way? Or?
With Tim's family living so close down there in that area, we were paddling one day, and his daughter was up on the bank with her husband, and I think it was her brother-in-law and sister or somebody, and just stopped, pulled out for a few minutes, chatted with them. They checked out the canoe and the gear and stuff. And then Tim's wife also met us at New Harmony at the ramp there, and kind of checked in on him and brought him a few supplies and stuff. Took pictures, video.
Yep.
Yeah. It definitely broke things up a little bit more.
Yeah.
From last year. And last year we went days without seeing anybody. This year was just a lot more camaraderie.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much a survival expedition.
Yeah, it was more like a camping trip.
Yeah.
Survival.
Yeah.
Instead of a Navy SEAL challenge.
Yeah. Were there any crazy beavers this time, or was it pretty?
We actually saw two or three of them.
Yeah, none of them tried chewing a hole through the
No. There you go. They posed for some video and photographs and went about their way. So, yeah. So probably the same amount of wildlife as we saw last year. A lot of waterfowl, a lot of turtles, eagles, the beaver. Saw a lot of tracks on the sandbars from bobcat.
Oh, really?
Otters.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of otter tracks, really.
Yeah, it's a ton of otter tracks.
So how many, you were on the Wabash, or on the river, I guess, 6 days last time.
Right.
And then how many days was it this time, and how many miles did you guys cover?
We was on 4 days this year and covered about, 80 miles?
Yeah, about 80 miles total.
Yeah.
We did about 75 miles to the mouth of the Wabash and about 5 miles on the Ohio.
Okay.
We paddled across to Wabash Island and around the island and then up the channel on the other side.
And what was that like, the transition from the Wabash to the Ohio? In a dugout canoe, for one.
Definitely different. We got to the mouth and we get out of the sandbar, kind of taking in, like I said, taking the moment in, took some pictures and talking about it. And we were looking across and, this ain't too bad, it's wide, but not that bad. And that's what Keith said. Boys, you're only looking at half of it. That's an island in the middle, 1,100 acre island. So there's another half on the other side of it.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then there was a barge coming up, and we'd probably see him 3/4 of a mile away.
Oh, yeah. It was a good ways.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah. It was definitely intimidating to see that
Yeah.
the water, and the current was a lot slower.
Water was clear.
Deeper water, clear water.
That was weird because the Wabash, it's just muddy, from the road.
Yeah.
The sediments coming down. In Ohio, it was definitely a lot clearer and just a slower current, like you said. It was definitely a big change. We knew that Ohio was big water. But until you get out on it in a dugout canoe, it definitely changes your perspective.
Oh, I bet.
You feel about this big.
Yeah. You kind of have a bug's eye view of it sitting right down on it.
On the water.
Yeah. My experience is just going over it on a bridge,
Right.
So all the boats even look small from that high up.
Yeah.
But you guys are right down on there.
Yeah. And you can see, once we got out, we're paddling down that island, you can see, I don't know, it looked to be 6-7 miles, I don't know, a long ways down through there, As you're paddling, you just feel like you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
We're on the Wabash, at least you can see maybe up a mile or something, there's a bend coming, but that would be pretty slow traveling on the Ohio canoe, in my opinion.
So what gear did you guys take, and what kind of food did you take? That's like something that people are zeroed in on, is the gear and like the clothes and the food that you guys use to survive out there.
Well, I think, as far as from my side of it, I took less clothing. I had a fair amount of extra clothes last year, because you're always thinking about rain and things like that, getting wet, if something happens. And it was more of a concern for me this year, because I'm thinking, okay, now we do have cooler temperatures, so if you get wet, you get rained on.
Yeah, you're not drying off.
Go in the water, you're not drying off. You're going to have something dry and get changed in with a 46-degree night. So, but I don't know, as far as actual gear, what we took less of this year,
I'd say more or less just food.
Right? Yeah,
just less food. As far as I took 2 wool blankets as far as gear. 2 wool blankets. I took 1 extra shirt and a breech clout just in case it got warm or something, or my leggings got wet. At least I could have something to
cover up.
But fire starting kits, wax them up to where if something did happen, at least if we found them, they would still be dry, charcoal off the tinder, something where we could get a fire going pretty quick.
And I don't know if I've learned, but I've started carrying multiple fire kits in different locations. Just something very small and basic on, like in my shooting pouch or on my person, and then something in my knapsack, and then maybe in the haversack. Kind of spread it around in case you need some piece of gear. I had an extra shirt, an extra pair of breeches, a breech clout, extra stuff.
still did pack our poles for our like a half base shelter.
Mhm.
Took 12 by 12 Panther primitive oilskin tarp.
Okay.
For 2 guys, that's ample room.
Yeah.
For camper on.
We put it up the first night, but we figured out when we got up the next morning there was not as much moisture on the bottom side of it. I think the sand was heating up during the day and then released some moisture.
Yeah.
So we decided after that for the next 3 nights to not set the tarp up. Wasn't really a whole lot less work, but
Right.
your blankets were soaked the next morning from heavy dews and stuff like
That's
that.
the first time I'd ever seen condensation coming in from the bottom side of the tarp. Just where the sand was holding the heat, and then it got cold at night.
Right.
It was condensating on the bottom. You just wake up to
Just dripping on you.
I mean, drips in your ear.
And that doesn't help being cold in the morning.
But so yeah, after that first night, we didn't set it up at all.
Yeah. So you guys were just laying out bedrolls and blankets and just sleeping under the stars then?
Yep. That was made for a lot better scenery. I mean, just the night sky, watching the sunset,
watching the stars all night.
Now, Keith isn't here to defend himself
correct,
on his boat.
So we'll take it easy.
Take it easy on him. But what happened there? Because we saw on social media before the expedition, he announced that he was coming with you guys.
Oh, yeah. And
we
stoked to have him, too.
Right. I mean, he's just came off of a loan, and he's out here doing the same thing you guys are. And he posts this picture of his, how do you pronounce it?
Bateau.
Yeah. How did that work out for him? How did that go?
Well, he was definitely a lot slower. I mean, the boat was.
It was obviously, the boat had some age on it.
Yeah.
So.
And it was kind of square, wasn't it? It's not a canoe shape. It's not very
10 foot long, I think he said.
Yeah.
And but it was probably 5-6 feet wide. I mean, it was pretty wide.
It's every bit 5 foot, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if he underestimated the river or the boat or kind of both, but it was definitely moving pretty slow. And he'd done some repairs on the boat before the trip to get it ready.
Absolutely.
But he stood up in the boat to kind of move around, shift some gear around, and his heel went through the bottom, and that baseball-sized hole through the bottom of it. So water's rushing in. Luckily, we'd all been kind of spread out. The dugout, the canoe, and the bateau was kind of spread out, and at that point, we kind of closed it up a little bit. And Tim was in his canoe. He was the closest to him, got to him pretty quick. And we're about 100 yards or so down the river.
Oh, yeah.
We're better.
Yeah.
And we knew we couldn't turn the
Canoe around and get back.
Yeah. Paddle upstream to get to him.
So we just took off paddling backwards and got to him pretty quick. And he had already threw most of his gear into Tim's canoe by then. And he threw a couple things into our canoe. And stepped out of the bateau as she was going out. I told him I was kind of disappointed because he didn't go down with the ship.
Right.
The Coast Guard would have been.
Yeah. U.S. Coast Guard would have definitely been impressed with the
water rescue.
Because they went down without a hitch.
Yeah.
He didn't lose any gear.
Well, that's good.
Nobody got hurt. So, and like he said in his video, accidents happened back then. They still happen today. And it's how you react to it and move on from there.
I'll admit I was pretty worried when I saw the update online about it. I was worried he'd been hurt or something by it. Lost some.
It did phase him a bit, but he just laughed it off.
He's real easy going that way.
He's easy going. And the group that we had, everybody just kept calm head. He spent a lot of time on the water. He'd been on the back and everybody kept calm and just did what they had to do. We still don't know if we were in a foot of water or 15 feet of water.
You can't touch bottom. You can't touch bottom.
Yeah. It's not worth the risk.
Right. Yeah. And then once he got in, and Tim was wanting to do a few days with us, 2 or 3 days, and once Keith got in the canoe with him, that helped them both out.
Yeah.
It allowed Tim to finish the trip with us, which we
Yeah.
Things have a way of working out.
Oh, yeah. So you posted a few pictures of the rapids, too. What was that like? Where were those at? How do you prepare for that?
It was about a mile south of New Harmony, and what they call the Old Dam. We pulled out at New Harmony at the Ram, and then these guys actually went down and kind of reconned it out. And, you can tell them about that.
Yeah, we got down there, and me and Keith was there looking at it. I was a little unsure about it, but we kind of talked about it. We kind of got a routing plan, so we decided that as far as how to get through. Mm-hmm. We talked to a couple of fellas down there at the dam site that was fishing. One of them told us to go on this side, and the other one told us to go on the other side. Well, we obviously picked the lesser evils of the two.
Yeah.
And, so we went back up the boat ramp and paddled on down about a half mile, and from where the old dam site was, where the rapids are, and camped there that night. And it definitely gave a lead up to it because we could hear the whitewater from that sandbar all night long. You know what I mean? So the whole time you're just like, ugh.
It's just reminding you every time you wake up.
Yes. And then the wind would shift, and it would be coming up the river, and it would get louder.
Yeah.
Like, did they open the gate a little bit more water going through? It's like, I think it's just the wind blowing the sound up this way.
So we packed up the next morning, or whatever, headed on down there.
Uh-huh.
And, Tim and Keith was ahead of us. They pulled up to the rocks and stuff and kind of got situated. And me and Jacob was coming behind them. And we decided that it'd be best to unload all of our gear. I mean, we could have portaged that dugout across it, but it weighs 500 pounds, so it would have taken us quite a bit of effort to get across there. So we decided that we'd unpack the canoes and then take them through there, at least where we're not losing our gear.
Yeah.
If we roll it or hit a rock or the canoe breaks, from scouting, there were some pretty large rocks in there that, being on that canoe, the front of it's all ingrain where it comes up like that. So it's a lot more prone to just breaking off if you come into a rock.
Right.
And nose on. So he jumped in with me, and he was all about it. He done sunk one boat. He ain't afraid to.
Yeah. Round 2.
Yeah. But so we jumped in there and kind of got our path and shot them rapids. He had a little bit of water coming over the front, and where we was digging, but ended up getting through it.
Yeah.
We did the same thing for their canoe, unpacked it, and Keith went with him through that. But, packed her back up. I don't know. It probably took us. We spent a lot of time there. It took us about an hour.
Probably an hour.
Right there.
I think if we pull up in the middle, we can offload the gear, and then we can carry it down and go through. And I said, well, let's offload the gear, take the canoe through, because if it doesn't make it, there's no sense in carrying the gear.
Right.
It was exciting, but it was definitely a good time. I think the choice to take the canoe through it instead of portaging is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep. And it definitely handles a lot different, empty than loaded down.
Mm-hmm.
We figured we're weighing about 1,100 pounds with us and our guns, the canoe, everything. So it's pretty hefty.
Well, I mean, obviously you don't want to take unnecessary risk out there, but you have to trust your gear, and that was kind of the idea of
Skills.
Yeah, and to test the canoe and see, the limits of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Then we hit the Great Chain Rapids the same day, but people at the old dam site told us that it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. I mean,
right. Well, last year we got that confused because we thought the Great Chain Rapids were actually up north of Mount Carmel, but that was the
Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids, yeah. So the Great Chain Rapids are actually south of New Harmony. We had we did 14 miles the first day, and then 20 the second, 16 the third, and then obviously finished it out the fourth day.
We ended up with about 27 miles the last
a little
day.
over 27.
Oh, wow.
The last day.
Finished strong then.
Well, we finished.
We was pretty weak.
Yeah.
Arms are about to fall off.
Yeah.
But that last mile and a half was everything we wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were digging for it.
Pushing the headwind and
Oh,
12-inch
geez.
waves, you know.
And upstream.
Yeah.
How much freeboard do you have in that canoe when it's all loaded down?
We got about 9 inches.
Yeah.
Okay, so those 12-inch waves are really...
Yeah.
They're pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely being aware of which direction that canoe's pointed.
Right.
The wind. There was probably, 3 big bends that would come around on the Wabash where the water or the wind was coming up the river just right. It was like a wind tunnel effect, and it was causing probably 12-inch waves just on the Wabash. I'm getting the spray in my face.
Yeah.
But then you break around the bend, and the wind would go down, change direction, or whatever. And so just things you don't think about.
Yeah.
Like that. Seeing some white caps out there. But again, when it's 70 degrees, you don't mind that if it's 90 degrees. But you're thinking, man, if I have to sit here all day at 70 degrees and get water over the front, it's going to be a miserable day.
Miserable evening.
Yeah.
Miserable evening. Yeah.
One thing we did this year, or over the winter, I made paddles out of cherry. And last year I thought they was pretty good, before we went and everything. And found out pretty quick they could be a whole lot lighter.
Well, you lighten them up.
Yeah, so over the winter,
thin them out a little bit.
Lighten them up, and you could definitely tell the difference.
Yeah.
It really didn't seem like I took off that much wood, but after paddling for a couple days, you can definitely tell the difference.
It adds up.
In fact, Keith gave me some cypress after we got our trip all done. He gave me some cypress wood to make paddles out of. He said it's very light wood, so I'm definitely looking forward to making
some
even
fresh
lighter
paddles. So are you guys putting in at the Ohio next year and going for the Mississippi? Or
that crossed our mind for about 3 seconds. It's only 140 miles.
I don't know. I think I'll probably just stop that right there.
Yeah.
As I've said before, it's always been my goal just to get from here all the way down to there.
Yeah.
And, I did it, satisfied, and unless Jacobs has other plans, I'll roll with him.
I'm good.
We talked to Keith a little bit, and then after our trip was all over, we might go down and do a little paddling with him on the Ohio, just maybe for a day or two. Paddle for a day, do it overnight or something. But I think I'm good with just ending it there.
Well, we got to tell them the snake story. We couldn't complete it without the snake.
Oh, yeah.
So we pull the canoe out on the Kentucky side, and it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when we finished up, and run around in my breeches barefoot. We decided we're going to spend the night at Keith and Jen's, and then drive back fresh the next morning. So they were very gracious and gave us the run of their place over there. And, it was awesome.
they've got quite the compound down there.
They do have a nice little setup. And, so she went to town, got dinner for us, and brought it back, and we were sitting outside eating around the fire. And they had showed us where we could get cleaned up and shower and stuff earlier. So I finally was like, I'm going to get out of these clothes I've been in for 4 days, go get cleaned up, take a shower. I walked over to the cabin and got my clothes. I had to walk back to the truck to get some towels out of there. And it's dark by this time, 8:30 or something. And but I walked across the driveway into the grass and step on something. That was kind of rubbery and soft, I don't remember seeing anything there earlier in the day. And then it dawned on me, that was probably a snake. So I kind of bent down, looking in the grass, and there was a security light on the side of the blacksmith shop that had clicked on. And then that's when I seen a pattern on it. I'm like, that's a timber rattler or a copperhead. So I pulled my phone out of my pocket, lit the screen up, and got closer. I'm like, yeah, it's a copperhead. So I stepped right on his tail, and for whatever reason, he decided he wasn't biting that night. So
Jeez.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured he didn't want that taste in his mouth. So 4 days of river stench on him. But, yeah, that was definitely a little excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob's, so we're setting up at the outdoor kitchen, me and Heath and Jen. Jacob's hollers. I think I just stepped on a copperhead. Keith kind of looks at me and I'm like, yeah, I think he's probably serious there. Sure enough.
Keith come around and he tried to catch a snake. He's like, usually I catch him and release him, you know, when I hurt him. But he tried to pin his head one time and catch him, but in the dark,
Yeah.
you know, he's already agitated. So he's like, I think I'm going to go ahead and dispatch him.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's your snake. You know? So he killed the snake and he picked it up by the tail. He's like, oh, I got to take this around there and show these guys, you know. So he starts walking off. It takes about 4 or 5 steps, and he turns around and he looks at me, and I look at him, and he said, surely there's not another one out here. Surely there's not.
Well, thank you guys very much for talking about it and sitting down with me. We appreciate it. It's always fun coming and hanging out with you.
Hopefully it get some people riled up.
Yeah.
Get out,
Yeah.
use their gear and a little exploring.
Yeah.
Well, we've had several guys look at the canoe now, and you know, actually are serious about making one. You know.
Yeah.
Last year they showed an interest. Like that's kind of cool. Now, you know, I mean, last year for me anyway, 115 miles was an awesome trip, and then 80 miles to finish it this year. But then when you say it together, you know, a 200-mile trip, you know, and that kind of sinks in with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the opportunity and inviting me along and all the fun and adventure we had.
I don't see anything modern laying around.
Well, these cookies are modern. Get rid of those.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Make these.
Oh, yeah.